love goddess. How are you today? On this episode of recording of our podcast, we are talking about why desire goes away in the long-term marriage or long-term relationship and what we can do about that. Did you know that Institute of Marriage has been artificially created and it's actually has not been around for that long? The Institute of Marriage was developed specifically to follow the legal rules to, financial management and, the rules to be qualified for the rules for the inheritance and all of that. So marriage has always been a tool of continuing some form of kin, where the love was never really a part of the marriage. It was always about two families coming together and having the procreation of the kin itself, right? And a lot of times, if love and passion happened, it happened outside of marriage, right? So it was almost a second nature to expect to find that love somewhere outside of marriage, but never within the marriage. And now if love did happen, it happened on accident. And it's not like you see in fairy tales what, that back in the days, the prince and princess get married and they loved each other. I'm sure that happened, but it was not the common theme. Right? And so actually the idea of having love in a long-term relationship is somewhat of a novelty idea and has not been around for very long. And now we want it all in marriage, which is a huge task on its own. Now we want love in marriage, we want the partnership, and we want, being, business, like I wouldn't say business partners, but you have to have a partnership level to run and succeed in life and make his plans and your plans work all in unison as an institute of marriage. And we also want the sex and the passion inside the marriage, and so that's a lot of things that we are now requiring from the relationship, from marriage altogether. And it has not been the case over so many years, and it's only now we want everything inside of one relationship. So if you are experiencing a rut, that's why divorce rate is so high. A lot of the things that we expect don't stand up to reality, nor we are able to maintain that level. And a lot of times too, we meet certain people that teach us lessons. And once they teach us that lesson, that person leaves our life, right? And so I'm perfectly at peace with the fact that marriages do fall apart, and it is heartbreaking to see kids experiencing and going through this. I feel I have learned to look at this as a normal, healthy process of life. The only way it's not healthy is in splitting all the financials and all the legalities. Really, it's a lot of BS to go through, right? But it is very healthy to have lessons from a person who comes into your life and shows you certain aspects of your own being, because each person, your friends, your circle, your coworkers, your loved ones, are your mirror. They mirror certain aspects of you that you need to learn through or improve. Or I'm a hugely believer into reincarnation and the fact that our souls, before coming into physical life, have developed a plan and a contract. And we have soul contracts with a lot of the people that we meet in our life to have a purpose and to service our need for the soul that sometimes we don't understand with our brain. We don't understand why this person or this person need to play a villain and be an abuser so we could learn our lesson. And they have agreed, and this is not a human thing to understand, so don't try to understand this. You are not here to understand this. You're here to learn your lessons and just accept the fact that things are happening for you, not to you, right? And so back to why we lose that passion in marriage is simply because it is almost, I wouldn't say it's unrealistic, but it's not easy to maintain that sense of novelty within the same partner. It is very challenging to keep recreating. It is doable. You still do it, so it's not going to be the same. Every new person you meet is showing you different sides to you that you are trying to learn. Every new person you meet is playing along to the reflection of what you want to see in yourself. That is why when you meet another person and you start falling in love with that other person, even though you might be within the institute of marriage, it is very normal, because guess what? You don't fall in love with another person, you fall in love with you. Do you get that? You don't fall in love with another person. You fall in love with you and how that person makes you feel. You fall in love with you and how that other person makes you feel. If you have butterflies and they're coming from this sense of feeling, and that could be anything for you. Some people make me feel like I am a child again, and make me feel like I'm very I have no responsibilities and nothing heavy to carry, but like I'm in the energy of being a child again, because they have that younger energy about them and they have admiring energy about them. And I am falling in love with the feeling of how they make me feel. And there is nothing wrong with that. And before, I used to believe that monogamy is the only way to go. Now I actually have unlearned that belief. And now I believe that being poly is perfectly okay. However, we as human beings are being divided and attracted to people of the same belief system. So all the monogamous people will be attracted to them and have the same philosophy that they're gonna live by. All the poly people will be attracted to each other and they will live out those philosophies they believe in. And that is totally okay, and none of them, like being monogamous is not right or wrong, and being poly is not right or wrong. Everything has a place to be. Everything has a place to be. And each person you meet will reflect back to you that aspect of yourself that you are seeking to discover. And that is why when you are meeting a new person, that's going to awaken new feelings within you that you are seeking to fall in love with. And you are falling in love with yourself, not another person. That's the key piece, right? That is why it is very hard to find that element in the same person, because they will show you the aspects of yourself that you have already learned. They will show you, they will give you the feelings, amazing feelings, and assuming you fell in love with a person who is really bringing up the best in you, right? And you keep rediscovering that sides, but it does not alleviate or eliminate the fact that other people awaken other feelings in you too, right? You're an emotional being. You're a divine being that consists from feelings and emotions, and different feelings and emotions are being awakened in you when you meet different people, right? So now that we have talked about this aspect of the relationship and why the feeling of desire and passion and turn on goes away when you are in the same long-term relationship for a while. So I will tell you that you will not be able to explore different feelings in you unless that person that you are with changes himself, right? Or herself if it's a girl, right? So unless that person that you are leaving with changes and starts awakening new feelings in you, you won't be able to rediscover the novelty with that person. And you will be naturally, and it's very natural, seeking those new feelings from the outside. And again, I believe with full of heart that you can explore those feelings and still have consensus with your existing monogamous relationship, or maybe open it up in one way or another where it does not have to be it does not have to be a full-on affair. Affair is only wrong when it is non-consensual, when you overstepped the boundaries of your relationship that both of you had agreed on, right? You have those spoken and unspoken rules, and please, anything that's unspoken needs to be spoken in the relationship. Please voice it out. Tell your partner what it is that, and you also grow and change and you seek new things out of the relationship. And if your relationship has been giving you those things past and you have learned your lessons and you are ready to grow and you're no longer receiving those new lessons from that same relationship, you need to sit down and have a conversation. It's not like you got married and you're going to stay the same for the rest of your life. It's not true for you, and it's not going to be true for him either, right? So you always, at each level, you communicate about what's changing, what's important, how you feel, right? So, and at some point, you might come up that you are into completely different sexual lifestyle. Maybe you're vanilla, now you want BDSM, right? So you always communicate. That's the key. That's the number one key. And you respect another person's freedom of desires and their separateness as a human being to explore other things. You don't block them, because if you block another person and you suppress him or her down, she by nature will not be able to sustain. She might sustain it, but it's going to fill up to the point that explosion is going to be that much more disastrous, right? So the best thing you can do is to give that other person freedom to be their own separate human being, right? So with that being said, how do you bring the sense of novelty and sexual tension into the existing relationship, right? After being together for a while? Well, first of all, you're going to break up the routine. If you are into the same thing and into the same sex position, like, that shit needs to change, right? You have to start exploring together and learning together and opening new territories together, so you grow together. You cannot, if he stays here and you are here, it's also not good for neither dynamic, and then you're not gonna find yourself on the same page and it's gonna fall apart, right? Together is the key here in everything that you do and explore and grow, right? So, when you are exploring together, you experiment together, but intentionality is key here. Intentionality. So, what do I mean by intentionality? You put effort into the relationship. Because what most likely happened, you got swept away by the flow of life and the flow of bills and the flow of kids and like everyone's schedules and work, and you just simply said, you know what, he's there, he's always be there, like relationship's not important, sex is not important, it's gonna happen, like, and you start prioritizing your relationship as a couple, and you stopped going on dates, whether it's because of lack of time, because there are kids now and you don't have a babysitter, or because it costs money and you're trying to save money, whatever the reason is, like you stopped doing the things you were doing in the beginning of the relationship, and you stopped having fun together, right? So bring that element back into your relationship. Travel together is huge. Travel together, experience new places together. When you experience, it's part of experiencing things sexually, but experiencing and expanding horizons in life through traveling through other areas is also very important, because it's the same creative energy that is responsible for your sex life too, that's playing into that's playing into the novelty and adventure and fun, right? So bringing the dates back, dating your husband is important, traveling with your husband and no kids, right? I used to be that person that always questioned, well, now we have kids, now we always have to do everything with the kids, or one in my case. And that was not like, no, you prioritize yourself and your couple over your kids, by the way, because what's going to happen, your kid's going to grow up, they're going to leave the nest, and then what? Then you're going to be either left alone because you did not prioritize the couple and it fell apart, or you just start learning how to, if you survived that phase of your life, and hopefully you don't survive, you thrive through that phase of your life, right? You are, learning how to be and live life with couple, and a lot of feedback, a lot of people that I work with and women that I work with are so excited when they become empty nesters. They're so excited to finally have everyone out of the house, have their house to themselves, create that sex room, start doing things together again. Well, you don't have to wait until all of your kids out of the house. You can start setting aside time and putting intention into your relationship now. In fact, weekly. I want for you to have that date night, if not weekly, bi-weekly, right? In our family, we are doing, 1 week we are spending time as a family, and another week we're spending time as a couple, right? The entire day together, right? So it's important to prioritize you as a couple, right? Because a lot of times desire goes away because you don't have fun together. You are not on the same page. You are not being authentic to each other. Again, the key element to desire is your own mindset. You are the one who's going to turn yourself on. If you're focused on all the bills and kids and family schedules, it is such a boring subject that is a lot of times there's a lot of negativity because like certain things triggers, like, oh my God, I have to work, feelings, or I have to pay the bills feelings, and those are not the positive feelings that you are awakening, and they do cut into your desire for fun and sex. And so what you need is switch that mindset from your, business mindset. And a lot, if you are a woman, a businesswoman like me, a lot of it is also like my business is my baby. So it's no difference if I'm a stay-at-home mom and all of my attention on my kids, like I'm in the same mindset, but about my business. My business is my baby, and all of my attention goes because it requires attention 24/7, right? So you have to cut that out. You have to set very strict boundaries. And you have to have your own ritual when you go from one mindset to the other mindset. From the mindset of going, being, doing, to release all of that out. And it's like, okay, I am a love goddess now, right? So, and there is exercises and tools we use in the Love Goddess Academy to help us reset our brain from that go, do mindset into, I'm ready for some romance and sexy time, right? So it is so important to have that switch turned off and on, right? And so it's a skill that you learn, right? It's a skill that you learn and attention you build. And it's not enough time to go, sometimes they get questions, well, all right, well, how do I initiate, or who's going to initiate? And sometimes it's not enough time. You're not prepared. You are seeking for that spontaneous sex, which in most cases, I believe is a myth, because there's no such thing as spontaneous sex. You kind of expect that. You prepare for that mentally. You open up and create space for that. And sometimes you're not always gonna have desire if he's approaching you to have that spontaneous sex and you're not in the mindset. You have two choices: turn yourself on really quickly, which a lot of women can't do, and they struggle with that if you are in a long-term relationship, or you can just go along with the flow without having that turn on, that desire, and just be ready to have fun without needing that feeling of turn on to be there, and just just go with the flow. Sometimes it's and he plays along, and sometimes you play along, and then he plays along in return when you want that. If you want that element of spontaneity, right? I always struggle with this word. I am a big advocate for having a container for the playtime on your calendar set aside each week. So all right, on Wednesday nights, it's happening, the playtime is happening, right? Or on Saturday nights, it's our time together, right? So that is how you ensure that it's happening on a consistent, a lot of conversation in the online world nowadays is how many times should I have sex with my husband? What's the normal amount? There's no such thing as normal or not normal. It's you decide how many times you want, right? So, and you have a conversation about it. You set your expectations, and then you create containers in the sense of the week, and you kind of mentally always prepare to have fun. And the more containers you have in a week, that many times you just stick to it and don't bail on it, because if you bail on it, then you're not fulfilling your part of the promise here. So and that's it. That's how you ensure how many times you do it. And that's not the question. I don't care if bad sex happens many times a week. In fact, I would dread it. No, I would rather have one once a month, but it's going to be a mind-blowing sex. Well, even better, mind-blowing sex 2-3 times a week, right? So you decide, you create, you have power. There's no rules to how many times. Each people are different. Some people have lower sex drives as couples, and some people have higher sex drives, and you decide what works for you. And you set those rules and set those goals for yourself, right? As how you're gonna operate as a couple, how you're gonna operate as a family. So with that, my love, I hope I gave you some real life ideas on where to start learning, where to start opening space for inviting that sexy feeling into your life, and being really setting your mindset and preparing for that to happen, right? And you are the only one who has power to turn yourself on. He's not gonna be like, it's not his job to turn you on, it's your job. So get good at turning yourself on. And with that, my love, I hope you got what you needed, and I will see you next.